Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donny Coram, and my mission every week is to educate you about building income and wealth with foreclosure investing. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, follow, like wherever you download your content. On today's show, we're going to talk about how much capital you're going to need to start investing in real estate. I'll give you a hint before we get too deep. It is much less than you're thinking, okay? I talk to coaching students, prospective coaching students every day, and all of them are like, well, don't I need this amount of money? You do not. We're going to talk about how much leverage capital you need individually to get a deal done. And in a lot of cases, you don't need any of your own money at all. It comes down to how good of a deal you can track down. Before we get into that, as always, we want to hop into our motivational speech for the day. So let's look at that here a little bit. This one comes from my boy, Grant Cardone. And here's the quote, if you will. We'll make that a little bit bigger so y'all can see that. Here we go. All right. Investing puts money to work. The only reason to save money is to invest it. Okay. Now I want you to sit on that for just a little bit. Okay. I talk to clients who are like, well, I got all this money in savings. I want to invest, but I don't want to deplete my savings. What were you saving it for then? Have you given any thought to what the purpose of saving the money was if you're not going to invest it in making you more money? Like, you need to put your money to work. If you've got it sitting in a bank account right now, the bank is putting that money to work, and they're investing it in car loans, mortgages, etc., while they're paying you 0.02% or whatever to let it sit in a savings account. They've got that money lent out to people in your local community at 6, 7, 8%. They're making money on your money. But as always, don't take my word for it. Let's get some information from Grant to talk a little bit about why real estate is a perfect place to invest. Check this out.
I read these books in my 20s about successful people. They all owned real estate. All the successful people, the Rockefellers, the oil barons, the railroad guys, they all ended up with real estate. Car dealers. Car dealers don't make money selling cars, just so you know. Car dealers make money because they pay for their real estate. They rent it back to the store, and they end up with a facility that pays them forever for acres and acres of real estate. Just so you know, every car dealer in America gets rich because of their real estate, not just because of their cars. The cars pay for the real estate. How many of you know a rich car dealer? Okay, McDonald's. Ray Kroc, he didn't have the recipe. He got control of McDonald's because of real estate. Jeff Bezos today, in every major city in America right now, is making real estate plays.
Mm-hmm. Think about this, okay? Think about how all the really wealthy people are investing in real estate. Now, there's obviously two strategies for investing in real estate. There's the long haul strategy, buying rental properties, getting the rental income, gaining from the appreciation, and you want to do that. You want to have your passive income portfolio built. But where a lot of people go wrong is they want to start by building the passive income portfolio. They want to retire before they get started. Okay. And so the reason that won't work is because you do need some capital to invest in long-term real estate. See, when you're buying short-term real estate, they'll do zero down deals and et cetera. But when you're starting to get into a property you want to hold on to on a 30-year mortgage, you generally got to go after that with a pretty hefty down payment. If we're talking about the conventional world, we're talking about 20% down. So if you're buying a retail property, which in my market is going to be in the $400,000 range, you got to show up with $80,000 to put down on that property unless you set up some creative financing to get around that. Okay. Where are you going to get the money to make that investment? Well, my strategy, guys, is that you flip properties to produce the income, the capital that you need to invest in long-term properties. Okay. So if you've got money coming in from a flip and you're doing 2, 3, or 4 of them a year, in my best year, I did 47 of them, providing us with a ton of investment capital to buy long-term rental properties. You're getting started out. So you're going to need to do flips to produce an income that can give you the capital that you need to get a deal done. Okay. And a long-term deal. You don't want to flip long-term to make money. I did flipping for a long time, and I'm telling you, it's a great way to produce an income, but it will eventually burn you out. You are day trading property. Okay. And day trading means you got to find it, you got to analyze it, you got to fund it. Then the construction part starts up, and that's where things get really interesting, right? And then you got to sell it. It's a full-time job, okay, if you're doing a bunch of them. But if you're only doing a handful or so, you can maintain your full-time job. You take that income, control, regulate your life, pay your bills, and etc. And then you've got this quote unquote side hustle when you're getting started that's going to produce the income that you need to eventually build a passive income portfolio to live on for the rest of your existence. The idea is creating passive income and getting a solid return on investment, which brings us to a question. What is a good return on investment for your money right now? Okay, with the stock market taking a bath the way it is, where should you be putting money and what kind of rate of return can you expect and be happy with if you're getting it? All right. Well, to get that answer, we're going to reach out to the Motley Fool. Okay. This is our article for today. And the Motley Fool is an investment magazine, a digital magazine. I have subscribed to these guys for years. Okay. And what they're talking about in this quote, what I looked up was what is a good return on investment right now. So it says right at the top, you have one goal when you're investing, and that's to make money. And every investor wants to make as much money as possible. But how do you know what a good rate of return is? Well, if you scroll down through, this is a great article, and I highly recommend you read it. But it talks about at the bottom here, 3% on treasury bills, waste of time, barely keeping pace with inflation, which is running out of whack right now. Government bonds, we're basically lending the money to the government and they're investing it in whatever the government spends money on and paying you a 5% return. Then you get to the large cap and then small cap stocks. But in the bottom line here, the expectation for return in the stock market is 10% or more, right? Can you consistently make 10% in the stock market? I don't know about right now. I can tell you the market is so volatile that it may be very difficult to do that. If you've got an inside track on stocks that are consistently going to make that return, talk to me, okay? But in real estate, we can't use the term guarantee for any investment, but what I can tell you is your cash on cash return when you're investing your capital into real estate is going to far surpass 10% a year. And this is how we get there. Let me close this article here. All right. So when you're trying to invest in real estate, people often ask me, how much money of my own money do I need to get started here? Well, my requirement for coaching students is that you come in with a minimum of $25,000 liquid with the preference that you're going to get to $50,000 to have that there. Now, you don't necessarily need to spend all that on a deal. It is very market dependent. The reason I want to have between 25 and 50, and we're going to determine exactly what you need liquid when we do our coaching call together, is because you're going to need to put a 10% down payment or around that amount when you're doing the coaching. Now, if you go out there and you try to do a deal on your own, okay, you're just starting out and you want to do a deal, which by the way blows me away. If you wanted to become a pilot, like you want to fly aircraft, are you going to hop in a plane and go, yep, I'm just going to figure this bad boy out. We're going to do some flying today, right? If that's your plan, I ain't getting in that plane. I'm a level with you, okay? That's not going to work for me. Yet people want to get into real estate investing. They want to start out into one of the more difficult parts of real estate investing because honestly, buy and hold, if you got 10 years, you're going to be fine, okay? Flipping requires a little bit more expertise. There's a lot more moving parts to that. Okay. So if you're going to do that kind of investing, you really, 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 really want a coach on your side to help you out with that. I am just 100% certain because I got coaching myself almost 20 years ago. And that's a large part about why I sit before you today coaching on doing real estate investing. So I would just highly advise, and I mean highly advise, that you don't attempt to take on real estate investing without professional help. The reality is the lenders will let you do it, but I promise you, as they're taking that 20% down payment, giving you the highest interest rate possible and charging stupid amounts of points, they're laughing at you a little bit. Okay, because they're going to make sure that they protected their interests in every capacity. When you sign up for coaching, you're taking half, if not more than half, the risk off of that transaction because I'm going to walk you through every step that you need to find that deal, figure it out, okay, fund it using my partners, getting a lower interest rate, lower down payment, and lower points on the loan. Okay, fix the property to market. This is where most people go wrong. They want to either under improve it, like, well, this looks good enough, let's get it sold, or they severely over improve it because they've been watching too much Chip and Joanna games that day, and they want to put in some gold-plated faucets and etc., and then flip that property for a profit, reducing their transaction costs through my program. The combination of those 5 steps virtually guarantees you're going to be profitable on this deal. And my coaching offer to you is that you're going to make a minimum of $25,000, but I'm hoping for a lot more on your first flip. And we're going to work together until you get that first flip done. Okay, I don't care how long it takes. And if the first flip comes in at less than 25 grand, it's rare because we buy them right, so it doesn't happen often. But if that does happen, I'm going to stick with you until we get the second flip done at a $25,000 profit. I'm in no rush. I want results for my clientele. Okay, the liquidity that you need to bring to the table is somewhere between $25,000 and $50,000. Now, it's important to note that that liquidity doesn't have to be your money. I'd prefer it wasn't your money. Of the 47 flips I did in 2021, not one of those deals was funded with my own capital. I used private money investors to fund the back end of the deal and then use hard money investors to fund the first position loan on the deal. So I was able to get the deals done without using my capital. I can promise you in your sphere right now, you've got people with money who are making paltry returns in their IRA or they're in the stock market. They're getting cremated right now, who if you present them with a solid, lower risk opportunity to make a much higher return on investment, way past that 10%, I promise you they'll have that conversation. But the reason they might not do it is because you just got started. There's a lot of risk associated with lending money to somebody who's never flipped a house. Now, I know you mean well. I know your intentions are good. I know you're going to try your butt off to be profitable. But because you don't know much about doing this, and I don't mean this to be mean, but just put yourself in the perspective of your private money lender. Do they want to lend money to somebody who's never done this before? Let's flip the script a little bit. What if you brought in a professional business coach to help you to do this deal so you weren't worried about anything going wrong? Do you think those same private lenders would want to work with you in a better capacity? The answer is absolutely yes. The key here is that you guys have to get that coaching dialed in and work on that first. Get the education, much like the pilot's license, etc. Start with the education and then work your way up to the capital. Okay, so when we're doing coaching, we're going to be working on teaching you how to find deals in your local marketplace. So A, you know what a deal looks like, right? And B, you can present those deals to your private investors so you're not coming across like you don't know what the heck's going on. When you approach it from that angle, the upside to that is going to be you got a higher probability of finding outside capital to do your deal. So you've heard about the no money down real estate. It is in fact doable, guys. Okay, the reason it doesn't happen very often is because the no money down real estate is usually coupled by people who have never done a deal, period. Right? And it's very difficult to structure a deal with no money down if you've never done a deal, period. So you're going to want to change that momentum and get some education. You're making an investment. This is what this show is about, how much you need to invest. But your first investment is going to be in yourself, getting the education that you need to start fixing and flipping properties right there in your local market. And I want to be your teacher, your coach. I want to note that I'm not a mentor. Okay. A mentor is somebody who just wants to tell you what they did. I had a great mentor and coach. He was both. He taught me everything I needed to know about what he was doing, but then he held me accountable to doing it. Okay. So I'm going to teach you a little bit with my 5 F's of Foreclosure Investment System course. You're going to get the lessons from the course as part of the coaching program. And then you're going to get the coaching to keep you accountable to making sure that you actually follow the skills that I'm teaching you in real time. Okay, so as always, we want to hop in and I want to show you a deal that we found for kicks here. I jumped into Austin, Texas, and mostly because Austin's a huge music town, and I'm a musician. I love doing music myself, so I thought, man, let's check out what's going on in the Austin market. Okay, so here we are flipping through what's available in the Austin market. We put in some filters. I did this before you guys were on screen here, but well, you saw a part of it, but we selected fix and flip, 75% or less. And I like to see the cheaper homes. Austin's kind of expensive now, so I went $400,000 or less, right? Which is not considered a cheap home in a lot of markets, but that's cheap for Austin. Okay, so here's what came back. The first thing that popped up was this property on Main Drive. So we got a property on Main in Texas, which is a little confusing, but whatevs, right? So we have this property on Main Drive that I'm having trouble finding. Here we go. All right. And it's $325,000, right? It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 1-car garage, as you can see there. We want to flip through the photos here, as we always do, and this looks perfect. Look at the dated nature of the carpet. It's dirty. That tile is terrible. He couldn't even find his way out of the picture. You see him up in the top there, right? This house needs work. Excellent, but is it a deal? Let's determine that real quick, okay? To determine that, Privy's doing all the heavy lifting for us. It brings up the comps in the neighborhood. We want to sort by most recent comps because we're trying to find what's going on in the market. And this one's a half a mile, not even, a little over half a mile away, built a little bit older, right? 3-1, and it went for $575. This is striking me as a deal, guys. We should be looking into this. Here's another one nearby, went for $489. Okay, hard to tell from the pictures what this property needs repair-wise, but I can't imagine we're going to spend more than 40 or 50 grand, and that's probably being a little bit gracious. This is not in terrible shape. It needs paint, it needs flooring, etc. This strikes me as a deal. So if we're into this for $365, $375, and the house is selling, as you can see here, we got a lot of comps in the late 4s that took place in February. So we want super recent comps. This one on Colonial, check out the stats on it. Half a mile away, went for $524. It's a 322, so it's got a 2-car garage. We can change the value on that a little bit, but it went for $524. It's 1,500 square feet, so it's very similar in square footage. They did a wonderful job of the remodel, right? And it sold for $524,000 against the purchase price of $325,000. This property on Main is a deal. So I don't want to hear from you that you can't find deals in my local market. We can find deals anywhere using the Privy application. You just got to be motivated to get going and put the fears aside and start investing in yourself to get the education and the real estate market that's happening around you. I am certain we can beat a 10% annualized return. How do I know that? Well, if you're going to put $25,000 to $30,000 down, okay, and you're going to make a $25,000 return, and we're definitely going to get that done in less than a year, that's a 100% annualized return if you do one deal. Now, the reason it's such a high rate of return is the stock market's kind of passive, right? You put the money in, you let the stock go up in value, and you sell it at a profit. That's how it's supposed to work. It's not been working that way lately, but that's how it's supposed to work, right? Well, with real estate, it's flipping, especially, it's super active. Okay, you're finding the property, you're fixing the property, and you're earning your rate of return by adding activity. Now, the good news is you're hiring out the contractors, you're getting a lot of the work done by other people, so it's not like day-to-day activity. You can still maintain your day job, but because there's activity involved, it pays a much higher rate of return than you can get in the stock market. All right. So if you've got money sitting in savings, 25, 30, 50 grand, and you want to get into real estate investing, you just don't know where to get started. You've got to join up on this coaching thing, man or woman. Join me. Click on the link. Head out to foreclosuredealscoach.com. Get a coaching assessment call scheduled. Let's talk about your liquidity. Let's talk about your market, but let's talk about finding deals right there in your local marketplace because there are deals everywhere. We just found one in Austin, Texas, just like that. Okay, the time is now. The market is shifting. There are opportunities anywhere. Now, I need to be clear. The skills I'm teaching right now are valuable today, but as the market shifts over the next 2 years, they're going to get increasingly more valuable as more foreclosures are hitting the market. So you want to learn this skill set right now. You want to figure out, start reaching out to family and friends and people who want to invest with you, okay? You're not turning into a Ponzi scheme where you're pulling money out of your sphere, but rather saying, I'm about to get heavily educated in flipping houses. Would you be interested in investing in that, right? Take just a little bit of risk with that savings you've got sitting there. In this market, you're going to be able to dominate If you can make money in this market where we're still kind of heated, the next market, you're going to be able to dominate and make a huge return on investment. Okay, the time is now. The market is poised for it. Let's reach out, schedule a call, and get going on that. Okay, links to everything we discussed today are going to be in the show notes below here. So just check out the description below, read the article from the Motley Fool, and please get involved in this conversation. Join the Facebook group, fdcoachgroup.com, and of course, tune in each and every single week to the Foreclosure Deals podcast, where we're going to deep dive into more insights in the foreclosure investment world. Once again, this is Donny Coram, your Foreclosure Deals coach, thanking you so much for tuning in each and every single week and reminding you now and always, don't buy a house, buy a deal.